There are plenty of albums that are heavily going under the radar this year, and you know me on this channel, I always want to change that. I am going to give you 5 albums from 2024 so far that I think are super underrated and absolutely are worth your time, and you might get a new favourite album of the year so far from this video. So stick around to find out which albums I'm going to be talking about here. Of course, as always, comment your picks below, comment your thoughts on these albums as well. Check out my Patreon. Make sure you subscribed at the very least. If you don't want to support me over on Patreon, that's fine, but subscribe at the very least. Like the video, share it around, and yeah, like I say, leave a comment, let me know what your picks would be as well. I knew for a fact if I'd done a separate video on all of these albums individually, it would get like no views. I know what you guys are like, I know what the algorithm's like. It's sad out here, it's hard out here, it's very, very tricky. So I thought I'd throw them all in one video. Perhaps we can make this a running series as well if you're interested. But yeah, 5 albums that I think are really, really good and should be talked about way more. Let's go. To start off with, I want to mention English Teacher. They have dropped their debut album. I think it's a really good one. I think anybody that is a fan of windmill bands at the moment, this windmill scene, particularly a band like Black Country New Road, who I think is probably one of the bigger influences on this album and sound as a whole, then you should be, of course, checking this out, because a lot of those bands at the moment are really thriving, and this is another great addition to the squad, basically. English Teacher really proved themselves on this one. The vocalist has a really charming voice, charming delivery, lots of really, really thoughtful and thought-provoking lyrics, some sardonic, sarcastic kind of lyrics and vocal performances as well. The World's Biggest Paving Slab, Broken Biscuits, R&B, all real highlights from this album. And they've actually rewrote some of the tracks as well. Some of these tracks have been out a while. They're rebirthed on this album in a totally new light. And yeah, just a really strong one here. I think they are one to watch in the next coming months. And yeah, absolutely check it out. Moran has finally dropped her album, which is a long time in the making. The last time I think she dropped an album was like, what, 2018 or something? I think, anyway. It's been a long friggin' time. But on this new one, we get some of the most beautiful piano performances of the whole year. It is very simple and stripped back, but it's so elegantly done and just so calming and peaceful to listen to. Like, you really can't go wrong with an album like this. I absolutely love and adore the sound of a piano, and when you've just got the whole album that's really focused and honed in on the beautiful playing, it is very much up my alley. So yeah, another one here that I think you should absolutely be checking out, because I think it's very much appealing to the people that may want music just to calm to, relax to, maybe even study to. I don't even know, but it's a stunning album nevertheless. I'm sure this next one you'll recognize, because Sir is a name that has floated around in music circles and the music blogs and publications quite a few years ago now with previous releases, but this one is really going under the radar, and I'm pretty surprised at that, because there's some really big features on this. You've got Isaiah Rashad on this album, you got Anderson .Paak on this album. Like, it's not just some nobody putting out an album here. This is a well established name, and it's going totally under the radar. I think it's one of the best R&B and soulful albums of the year, with some really nice kind of funky, slinky, nice influences coming through, a bit of hip-hop influence coming through as well. Just a really great blend of lots of good ideas. The Nothing Even Matters track is fantastic, one of my favorite tracks of the year so far too, I will say, with that one. It's really fun, bouncy, carefree, really nice album. I'm just, yeah, a little surprised that this one is just getting so snubbed, because there's no reason for it to not at least have some audience out there. And yeah, hopefully you'll check it out based on this recommendation as well. I want to mention this new one from Bob Vylan as well. I've checked out previous stuff from Bob Vylan, don't get me wrong, I've appreciated it. I've at least understood what they're going for, but personally on an enjoyment level, I've never really got much out of it. They are certainly super politically charged, super gnarly and aggressive and in your face with how they do it, how they approach it. They're chaotic, they're a bit mad and bonkers with how they approach their sound. I could appreciate what they were doing, I just couldn't get much enjoyment out of it. Whereas on this new one, it is safe to say I definitely got the most enjoyment out of any album that they've put out, and it still is all of those things as well. It's still chaotic, it's still gnarly, it's still in your face, it's still political, it's still brash, and I just think they've honed in their craft even further to make really memorable tracks, really hooky and catchy choruses. I just think it's a really strong outing from them. Some of the tracks have really high energy. Rain, you've got a track like Hunger Games, which just has this really wacky dystopian concept that's kind of, you know, tackling poverty in the UK at the moment and the cost of living crisis. He's a Man is hilarious, just a really funny song that's kind of, you know, poking fun at very stereotypical British men that have really dated attitudes. I don't want to spoil all the lyrics because I feel like when you go into a song like that without knowing what you're going to get, I think it's more enjoyable coming out of it than if I just told you what it was about right now. But yeah, really strong track on that one as well. Yeah, just a really good album from them, and really impressed with how much they've stepped up their game. And the fifth and final pick, no particular order of course, these are just all randomly ordered, so they're all equally worth checking out, mark my words. Halo Maud, or Halo Maud, is the album that I want to highlight here, the artist I want to highlight here, this new one from her. The previous album was really lovely as well, and this album is slightly better, just really catchy, upbeat French pop music that just has such a huge amount of charm to it. She has the most lovable voice, just really delicate and lush instrumentals to match it as well. The track Thérèse Infinis is how I think you pronounce them, like that, is absolutely really catchy and really fun. Probably the best song on the whole album, but the entire album is really good as well. I'll be catching her live at a festival later this year too called Get Together, which I'm looking forward to, so I'm hoping her music really translates well live. I'm sure it absolutely will. I'm sure she'll kill it. And yeah, another artist that's one to watch. Not quite sure why she's going under the radar. I suppose, you know, English speakers, you know, don't always have the most love for non-English albums. I'm not entirely sure why that's the thing, but even still, I would highly recommend it. It's really bloody good. And that is it from me. Please make sure you're checking out all of these albums that I've mentioned. I'll link them in the description as well. There's also links to my social medias, so make sure you follow me over on there. My Patreon as well. Would love to see you support me on there if you can as well. Just £1 or $1 a month. That is all to support your boy, to keep him thriving, to keep him moving. That would be wonderful. You get perks on there as well. Let me know albums that you think I should include in a future video, albums that you think I should be checking out. What are your 5 picks for super underrated albums this year so far? Let me know. Have a good day. Subscribe. Goodbye.